What is happening? J Gaming Dude here, and let me ask you a quick question. Hey, if you tried something and it didn't work, would you keep trying again and again? Say, for example, you made a cake and laced that cake with poison, and you were like, rather than giving this cake full of poison, I should make another cake with even more poison. Why not? Let's see how many people survived dinner this time around. Bad example, hopefully kind of gives the idea across, but effectively, Suicide Squad was announced to have disappointed WB, did not sell as much as they were hoping, and effectively it just disappointed WB in terms of sales, money made, and everything else in between. That was reported earlier this week. There are articles about it and things like that. And then I wanted to talk about the fact that, who saw this coming, with sort of jazz hands around my face as I say that, until it was then also reported a couple of days later that Suicide Squad not only disappointed, but the fact that a WB executive is doubling down on live services. This exec was at the Morgan Stanley event, so a place where people go to talk about nothing but money, exist for money, and kind of just all hail money. You know what I mean? No one understands Morgan Stanley events. It's only a bunch of rich billionaires and stuff like that. You'd expect to see kind of going in there, billionaires and or hit multi-hundred millionaires. That's just kind of the deal there. But it still doesn't change the fact that even though something like Hogwarts Legacy was an extreme success story, and with Suicide being a massive failure, somehow they're less Hogwarts Legacies and more Suicide Squads is effectively what they said. Which is kind of okay. JB Perret at the Morgan Stanley event said the challenge we've had is that our business historically has been very AAA console based, and so, as you know, that's a great business when you have a hit like Harry Potter. It makes the year look amazing. Now, of course, he's talking about the financial year. And then when you don't have a release, or unfortunately, we also have disappointments. We just released Suicide Squad this quarter, which was not as strong. It just makes it very volatile. Okay, so they don't consider Suicide Squad to be a live service. They consider Suicide Squad to be a AAA game. Huh? Anyway, said that the game had fallen short of expectations, so that's what I was talking about earlier of they had said that it wasn't quite being mentioned as well, and that they're going to be focusing more on mobile, live service, and free-to-play titles that revolve around main IPs like Harry Potter, DC, Mortal Kombat, and Game of Thrones. I was going to say Mortal Kombat, but that doesn't really work because I'm still mentally functional at the moment, so let's just see how that goes. Doubling down on live services based on Harry Potter, DC, Mortal Kombat, and Game of Thrones. Even though Suicide Squad kind of fits that mold of what they're trying to create, and Harry Potter just killed it as a single player game, it makes very little to no sense at all as to why anyone would ever want to say that. And here we go. This is a good point made by the article. While Perret says that this failure is part of the reason for the pivot in gaming strategy, that shift fails to recognize why Suicide Squad failed. Though Suicide Squad is a AAA console title, it failed due to the live service corruption that creeped into the otherwise serviceable third-person action shooter. Warner Bros. Is essentially doubling down on the aspect of Suicide Squad that led to its failure at a time where surveys show that 500 studios, so I mentioned this in one of my earlier videos, the industry survey that was done at GDC counts any game that requires a update to effectively calling it a live service. A live service to them is a game that requires any update at all. So in the case of, like, for example, in one of my previous videos, I gave the example of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You might think that is not a live service, but this survey would count it as one because there is a day one update regarding, you know, like the trying to fix performance mode and trying to fix the fuzziness in performance mode effectively. But yeah, so this is what's currently happening. I'm staring at this and thinking to myself, I think that everything is wrong and these guys should fall over and disappear into the bowels of history, because it's clear that they're doubling down, as the article says, on the part that everyone can universally agree made Suicide Squad an absolute failure. And I think I said earlier that, like, you are making a game that fits the mold, like Suicide Squad fits the mold of the type of game that you are trying to create when you say that you want to double down on live services. But it seems like WB considers that to be AAA, but not a live service for some ungodly reason. Despite having everything that a live service would ordinarily have, like microtransactions, a battle pass, constantly replayable content, constantly adding more free content over time, while changing and doing seasonal stuff as well. Yeah, I really don't know what this guy was thinking when he said it. It's clear he doesn't understand the point of the gamer, but honestly, it's hard to say whether or not this guy would understand anything if it didn't have something to do with money. So and that kind of like leads into him being in a Morgan Stanley event, but you know, it is what it is. What on earth could we have honestly expected from such an event, really? But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Everything that I've mentioned, this very baffling series of comments and the situation as a whole. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel. I want my videos to go out to more people, and hopefully, you know, other gamers can kind of come in, look at this and be like, huh, this is something seems very wrong about the way this guy's thinking right now. Yeah, and I am aiming for 200 subs by the end of the year. I do upload every day, so with all that said and done, I'll see you guys tomorrow.